Welcome to Reality After Show. This is the debut episode. I'm Jonny Fairplay, joined by my good friend Heath Haynes. We're talking wrestling.
Talking wrestling today, Johnny.
Is this crazy? What are we doing?
It's pretty wild. It's crazy times, and the last thing we need is two more idiots talking about wrestling on the internet. But here we are, and we're the men for the job.
Well, we were running low. Last time I checked, we were down to 7,000 wrestling podcasts.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, well, you know what the world needs? 7,001.
7,001, and here it is, the Wrestling After Show,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen.
Can you believe Wrestling After Show is available? Of all...
For $1.
Yeah,
for $1.
Peek behind the curtain. Heath, you go, Jonny Fairplay, you do 8,000 reality podcasts a week. I go, no, I do 9,000. You're like, well, wouldn't you like to do another podcast about wrestling? I go, absolutely not. And you're like, are you sure? And I'm like, I don't think so. And I was like, you know what? Let me check something, because I run Reality After Show. We
Indeed.
talk Survivor, we talk The Challenge, we talk Big Brother, multiple podcasts a week. I live the world of reality television, but I love wrestling.
You love wrestling.
So I was like, let me just check. Is WrestlingAfterShow.com available? Yes, it is. Yes, we're doing a fucking podcast.
And here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Coming at you live from Providence, North Carolina, right down the road from our mutual hometown of Danville, Virginia.
Yeah. Back in the day, we used to have some matches at the Danville Armory.
Danville Armory, and also George Washington High School gymnasium.
Yeah. Andre the Giant used to wrestle there. Ric Flair, Rowdy Piper,
Wahoo McDaniel.
Oh yeah.
I've got an uncle by marriage who has to this day, any interaction between us will at some point involve him telling the story of peeping through the locker room window and seeing an unclad Wahoo McDaniel in all his glory right here at the Danville City Auditorium. We might have to have him on as a guest.
Oh,
it's that good of a story.
I will share this. So back in the day, I used to do all the Comic Cons.
Yeah.
Wizard World. They were traveling, and I did Toronto and Chicago, Philadelphia, New York, and one of the last ones I did was Anaheim.
Okay.
And at that Comic Con and most of those was the Honky Tonk Man.
Oh yeah.
And and back in the day, he used to wear the full, the Elvis spandex deal. Like towards the end, it was like jeans and a denim jacket.
Sure.
with like a eagle painted on the back, which I don't know how it means Honky Tonk Man, but regardless,
It's Elvis adjacent.
Yes. Elvis by proxy.
Yeah.
Yes, as the cool kids say, or don't. I don't think they use by proxy. But anyway.
Anyway.
So I see the Honky Tonk Man going to the bathroom, and I'm like, I got to see this. And so I was just like, he's got to go to the stall.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No, sir. Honky Tonk just had to do a T100, as the Bandit would say.
Okay.
And so he walks up and drops his spandex.
The whole deal.
And it took everything in me not to take a picture. Why did I not? Why did I not take this picture?
Oh, as the years go by, you learn things in the professional wrestling business, obviously, and the Honky Tonk Man has learned that the quickest way to access the gimmick is just all the way down.
Just all the way down.
Well,
I will say that I've done many independent wrestling shows,
sure.
and many of them have been fundraisers for special kids, and they have the same gimmick too at the urinal.
It's all the way down.
It's all the way.
Well, Fairplay. Obviously, you spent a lot of time in the professional wrestling business. I
thought you were going to say urinals. So, I was like, I hope that's
obviously you spent a lot of time in men's rooms.
No.
I've spent a little bit of time in the professional wrestling business, not for many years, but it is interesting that you brought up Wayne Ferris, the Honky Tonk Man, because my best story from my brief involvement in the professional wrestling business has to do with the Honky Tonk Man. I was briefly, and this is like 3 shows. I was a ring announcer for an indie promotion out of Richmond, Virginia called Ultimate Championship Wrestling. and we ran a couple of shows.
Patent pending.
Okay. Is there a statute of limitations? This was in the 90s, I feel.
You're okay,
so,
but I feel that was not the only Ultimate Championship Wrestling. I just wanted legally.
in the world, yeah. So we were running a show. It was at a bar called Area 51. So in Richmond, Virginia, in Chaco Bottom, and I was the ring announcer. And the microphone that I was using that night was feeding back a whole lot. It was a wireless mic, and but it had an on-off switch. So I discovered pretty early on, because I'm,
resourceful.
I'm pretty tech savvy as well.
Yeah.
Discovered pretty early on that if I turned the microphone off when I wasn't talking, no problem with the feedback. And so I'd gotten into this habit during the entire show. Introduce a guy, microphone off, no problem.
It's like a walkie-talkie.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you push button to talk.
Yeah.
Push button to talk. So we get to our main event, and I believe it was the Masked Superstar, Bill Eadie, against the Honky Tonk Man that night in Richmond, Virginia. Although I might be conflating two different shows, but it was for sure the Honky Tonk Man.
Who's to say?
Honky Tonk, I introduced, ladies and gentlemen, out of Memphis, Tennessee, the Honky Tonk Man. Crowd goes nuts, big pop, because everybody remembers him.
Sure. And he was wearing the gimmick?
Oh, the whole deal.
Oh,
yeah.
People like when you rock the gimmick.
People see, and he was still like, obviously, that's the Honky Tonk Man. So he comes out, does a little dance, does his thing, and then, asks for the microphone. And so, of course, Honky Tonk Man, I hand him the microphone.
This isn't going to work out well for you.
Doesn't work out well for anybody. Honky Tonk Man starts talking on the dead microphone.
Sure. Because you're an asshole.
Yeah.
You gave him a dead mic.
Yeah, I gave him the dead mic.
Yeah, purposely.
As soon as this man realizes the microphone is not on, he finds the switch, turns it on, and then he finds me.
Oh, yeah.
Thrusts me vigorously into the corner with
The first bump.
Boy, don't you ever turn the microphone off before you hand it to the Honky Tonk Man. And so I half sold it, but half didn't sell it because it was a legit reaction. Just like, oh my God.
What do I do?
This is terrifying.
Am I going to get beat up a 6-year-old man?
It was I was frightened, but big pop in the room. So that was cool.
Who wins that fight? You were the Honky Tonk Man.
Oh, Honky Tonk Man. Okay. Every day.
Okay.
All day.
Yeah.
We get done with that was the main event. Everything's over, and then later on in the sort of locker room, ad hoc locker room area that we had figured out that night, Honky Tonk Man approaches me, and he was like, "Man, that was some good shit, brother. What are you doing tomorrow night? Let's go to Longwood and let's go to Farmville, Virginia, and do it again." And I often think to this day, the path my life could have taken if I had just gotten into a car with Honky Tonk Man and driven to Farmville, Virginia.
Homeless is. Can I answer the question?
I might not be here right now.
You would not.
I might not be here
I would pass you driving to the mall, and you would have a cardboard sign saying I toured with the Honky Tonk Man. And
I might be queuing up at the soup kitchen at the church across the road. Who knows?
Who's to say? So, wow.
But you've got way more stories than I do.
I don't know anyone. The crazy thing. Oh my God, I gotta screenshot this because this is pretty amazing.
Okay.
So I have a lot of friends. We talk about this, and of course I could have done this prior to the show, but it's more fun this way.
No, people want to see you dick around on your phone the whole time.
I know. I am fully aware. So we have discussed that I have made a lot of friends in the wrestling business.
Yes.
And it's nuts. So I was, and I'll send you random stuff, and you're like,
okay, cool.
That's insane. So here we go. Let me share, airdrop, boom. So I was looking at Vice magazine, and Vice does a Dark Side of the Ring. Back in the day, it used to be a magazine. I'm doing a renovation of my my basement currently, and I found a bunch. I have a bunch of Vice magazines from when
Oh,
I lived in
wow.
Los Angeles. I kept them, so I probably have like 10 Vice magazines. They were free. How insane is that? So, Vice magazine did a post yesterday, and let me present this to all you wonderful people because you all deserve this. And sure, we're sharing screen. Window. And
stay tuned, folks. It's gonna be worth it.
This is worth the wait. Oh, am I not allowed to share this?
It's a little risque, Fairplay.
Oh my God, I gotta go to system preferences. Okay, well, we're not gonna do all that.
We're not gonna. Stay tuned for the next exciting episode of Wrestling After Show to the conclusion of this.
Oh no,
this story.
Here, I'm just gonna hold it up right here.
There you go.
I see this.
What am I looking at?
I see this picture here on Vice magazine, and this is the title is early 2000s swingers. America Swings it was a book they made, America Swings.
Okay.
And these are early 2000s swingers. And so I see this and I'm just like, wow, that's like Midian. And so I choose to I choose to @ Midian and share that.
Is this you?
And 2 seconds later, literally like like and follow. So we'll have Midian on the show soon.
Maybe we will.
So I have a Midian. You know, I just saved the Midian story for Midian.
Save the Midian story for Midian.
But I hung out with Midian a lot back in the day. I loved Midian. I wasn't a fan of Naked Midian.
I have vague memories. I mean, he was in with like the Brood and the Ministry, like those guys, right?
But prior,
okay,
Tex Slazenger and Shanghai Pierce, and from WCW.
Okay,
the Texas Hangmen. And they yeah.
Wait, but not Bobby Duncombe Jr. I thought he was a Texas Hangman.
No, it was Phineas Godwin and
those guys. Okay,
yeah, they were the Texas and like they get a push for like 2 weeks and then they wouldn't, and then they get a push and I liked them.
Late era ancillary WCW guys.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Were they regular mainstays on Thunder? Maybe.
No, this is WCW Saturday Night. Like this is pre Monday Night Wars. Way
cool.
pre Monday Night
cool.
Wars.
All right.
Yeah, Texas. You don't remember?
Man, I spent a lot of time not paying attention to wrestling until '97. I think it was. Should we talk about a little bit of our wrestling fandom history here in the?
Well, I mean, this is the debut episode.
The debut episode. The maiden voyage, if you will, ladies and gentlemen. So me and Fairplay both grew up right here in Danville, Virginia, the heart of the Mid-Atlantic Territory, the old Mid-Atlantic Territory of National Wrestling Alliance. And some of your earliest childhood memories were going to shows, watching it on TV.
I remember 4 years old, my dad taking me to the Greensboro Coliseum, and he's like, root for the bad guys because the good guys are pussies. And that, for those of you wondering, how does Jonny Fairplay become a Jonny Fairplay? That'll do it.
This is not even just the wrestling fandom origin story. This is the Fairplay origin story. Just like learning, like, the heels.
Yeah,
that's where it's at.
That's where it's at.
So, I was late to the game. I was a rock and wrestling connection kid, so I was a big MTV kid.
Sure.
And
I remember watching that, but I liked Roddy Piper.
Right. So when. So all of a sudden, pre-Rock and Wrestling Connection, pre-wrestling on MTV, wrestling was just always the thing that came on after cartoons, and I would get mad because when wrestling was on the TV, it's like, no more cartoons.
Yeah.
And I would be, because I love cartoons, I was bummed. And, then it was time to go outside and play. But then all of a sudden when wrestling was on MTV, that's when it was like, I'm gonna check this out. And so early on, I was a WWF kid. I was like full on, Hogan, all that. Mr. T, he's a good guy. And then it wasn't until around fall of '85, Starrcade '85, and the kids at school were like, "Oh, you like wrestling?" It's like, "Yeah, but like, they started talking about Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes.
Oh yeah,
And
we were in the Mid-Atlantic.
Yeah, and they were like, "Oh no, this is the real wrestling. You got to watch this." And so then I started watching Crockett NWA, and right after Starrcade '85, and then very quickly realized that was where it was at, and I didn't need to watch WWF anymore. And pretty much after WrestleMania 3, I didn't care about WWF anymore.
Well, so going back in time, and I can't find the exact numbers, but we'll have it on the next episode. So hey, here's what you're going to look forward to. So you were talking about seeing wrestling on MTV. It started with the Brawl to Settle It All.
Yeah.
With Hogan and Piper, and then the follow up was the War to Settle the Score.
Right.
Which were at that time the top 2 highest rated programs in the history of MTV.
I don't doubt it.
So
yeah, I don't doubt it. It brought a lot of new eyes to the product, as they would say in the modern parlance. But so that was my initial foray into wrestling fandom. But by like '88, unbeknownst to me at the time, Crockett sells to Turner. This is all stuff, you learn later on in life. But like I all of a sudden I just kind of was like, that's not as good anymore, and I don't want to watch WWF. So I kind of got out of it literally until like '97. Smart. So there was a great big window that I was not paying any attention to professional wrestling. It wasn't until, it's funny because in my initial wrestling fandom, it was WWF, and then quickly realizing, oh yeah, wait, no, NWA, that's where it's at. So when I got back into wrestling in '97, initially I'm like, gravitated towards WCW. I was like, oh, this is, because, and then I was like, well, this isn't really that great. And then somebody was like, oh no, you need to check out WWF. Yeah. I was like, you're kidding. That was always, that's
the cartoony shit.
And no, they were like, there's this guy, Steve Austin. And I was like, $6 Million Man. And they're like, no, Stone Cold. And I'd seen the shirts around Austin 316. I was like, what's that all about? And then I started watching Raw, and then it was like, oh yeah, this is like way better. Yeah. If we were ever at a point where they were both just good, I don't know. We'd be in a pretty good situation.
It'd be a vortex of some kind. I think one has to be. I think
there always has to be one superior brand. Well, let's talk about some modern day wrestling.
Going back, I did find out 9.0 in the ratings.
Is that right?
For the empty, so
that's a big one.
You think about now, they're fighting for 1.7s and
it's not even about the big number. It's just about the demo.
9.0.
Yeah.
Insanity. So.
And those were not, if I'm remembering correctly, those were not primetime shows. I mean, I remember the first one I watched, whether it was the Brawl to Settle It All, or I think it was the War to Settle the Score. I want to say it was on at like 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
On a Thursday. It was totally random.
Kid with my Cyndi Lauper record, and I'm just like, hey, like Cyndi Lauper's good. I gotta see Cyndi Lauper. And it's just like, oh, am I a bad parent?
Yeah, it was.
And I'm like, yes, you're letting your kid watch wrestling. You're a horrible parent.
Saturday Night's Main Event. Those were great shows.
Oh, 11:30. All right, last callbacks. The throwback story. So right. I saw every single Saturday Night's Main Event as a kid.
Okay.
With the exception of one. It was I want to say when the Dream Team, Brutus Beefcake and Greg the Hammer Valentine, who came out to the ring to We Are the Champions, because conversely on the other channel we had the R&R Express,
the real R&R,
which also
Ravishing and Raging.
Cruel.
They were not the Cruel Connection with somebody else.
They had a different Destruction Incorporated. They had a second name that Paul Jones
for like 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks, yes. Paul Jones.
I remember that.
Paul Jones is the worst manager of all time. Anyway, Manny Fernandez and Ravishing Rick Rude or simply irresistible recruit. They would come to the ring to Smooth Operator, or no,
We Will Rock You.
He came out to Smooth Operator. They came out collectively to We Will Rock You.
That's right.
So on that 45, you have the tag team champions from for the NWA and the tag team champions from WWF.
Indeed.
Insanity. Yeah. So anyway, it was
Queen didn't see a dime.
It was the Dream Team versus the British Bulldogs Saturday Night's Main Event. It was the first Saturday Night's Main Event I ever met, or I ever missed, because I was at a Future Business Leaders of America FBLA convention in Southside and Farmville. Where you would have been?
Where I would have been with the Honky Tonk Man.
Yes, forever.
Yeah. That would have been the beginning and the ending of my journey. Just here you go.
All right, potentially. So, and I met a girl, and I had the opportunity to lose my virginity. And I was like,
"Hey, wrestling's on."
I was like, "Hey, it's Saturday Night's Main Event." Like, I don't think you understand. It's the tag team championship.
Yeah.
And she was like, and I chose to lose my virginity. And she was like, "Are you prepared?" I'm like, "Oh, girl, I've been prepared." I pulled out a condom that I've had in my pocket for about 4 years.
Wow.
I opened it up. It turned to dust. And she
Moths
goes, "Oh, no, I'm fine." She pulls out like a 10-pack.
She's good to go.
I'm like, this may not be her first rodeo.
Well, you know, if it's going to be the first time for one of you, you would want there. I'm sorry, I'm trying to work that rodeo analogy into losing your virginity, and it's not happening. Stay tuned for next episode.
So yes, that's the first and only Saturday Night's Main Event that I ever missed.
Oh, there you go, and a worthwhile reason. And
it's on the Peacock. You know what? That should be one of our classic matches we watch.
Maybe we should check that out. Speaking of classic matches, should we just dive into our classic match, or do we want to stick to
we have Sean Plinkton joining us in 5 minutes. So
he did not watch the classic match.
He did not.
He will be able to put in contribute to all our other stuff. So let's talk about our classic match that we watched.
Let's do it. All right. So our classic match this week, and the link is there in the description. Yeah. So if you would like to go back and watch the classic match, what did you choose for us this week?
For this week, for our inaugural edition, I chose the inaugural match of the forgotten Ric Flair trilogy of the 80s. Everybody talks about Steamboat Flair is the big trilogy. I myself have always been a fan of Barry Windham, Ric Flair, and their trilogy of matches. And we watched the first one of those that was widely available on broadcast from Battle of the Belts 2, and emanating from the Eddie Graham Sports Arena in Tampa, I believe.
Yeah.
And it was in January '86. And there's a couple things of note.
Lots of things.
There's lots of things to note.
Holy moly! We picked this one for a reason, folks.
Barry Windham is sort of fresh out of WWF at this point. Well, he's been out of WWF for a little while, but he's still wearing the WWF gear.
Yeah, the USA Express.
The USA Express gear.
And for those of you that don't remember, when the USA Express originally, and then later. At one point, they came to the ring to Real America.
That was their song.
Was created for them. I believe prior to and after they came to the ring to Born in the USA.
Sure, because that was the outlaw days of not paying anybody.
Hey, my good friend Paul Heyman, he knows everyone at Tommy Boy Records. They would put up a little blurb at the end that made everything okay.
Everything was okay.
Yeah.
If you're only used to wrestling from a certain era, there's a production value that I always love in the wrestling that I grew up with. And although I wasn't able to watch a lot of Florida Championship Wrestling as a kid, this Battle of the Belts, which is like sort of their Starrcade. It's their like supercard.
The Florida version of Starrcade.
But yeah, production value is amazing just because it's just a dark, loud arena. Yeah. Everybody's smoking cigarettes.
Yes, you literally see this guy with a captain's hat that looks like the Big Boss Man or Big Bubba Rogers. He has a captain's hat, just putting a cigarette in his mouth on the front row and lighting a cigarette and just smoking a cigarette, just watching the match. Yeah, this shit's pretty good.
It was the 80s. It was the 80s.
Indoor venue, folks.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Great, great match. It's one of those. It's like it's sort of what do you think about as a Ric Flair World Heavyweight Championship match? It's not a Broadway. It's like it's a TV time. So I think it works out to be about 50 minutes with intros. And the crowd is hot all the way through, but they're not. It's such a contrast with today's wrestling crowds because they're just hot the whole time. Yeah, they're not really reacting to anything. No. There's just sort of this general like frenzy for 50 minutes. It's sustained, and then like every once in a while, like they'll pop for a little bit of something,
but not.
You can't tell because there's just this general sustained noise.
Yeah, they just keep making noise and clapping
the entire time and screaming.
Yes. For 50 minutes.
It's wild. I've seen this match a bunch of times. It's one of my favorites. That's why I suggested it. How about you? Were you new to this particular match?
I was familiar with this match. I'd never seen it. I knew the history and lore of this match because this is actually one of the biggest matches in the history of the belt. Big Gold.
Big Gold.
This is the debut of Big Gold.
Debut in ring of Big Gold.
The Big Gold belt, for those of you that remember that in WCW and in early or later Crockett days and WCW, the one that Hulk Hogan spray painted NWO on, that is now sitting on Conrad Thompson's desk behind him when he does an amazing podcast. It's right there behind him. It may or may not have been purchased out of a Shoney's parking lot. Who's to say?
Scott Steiner may or may not have been involved.
But the Big Gold is my favorite belt of all belts of all time.
It's the greatest belt.
However, my least favorite fake belt of all time, Big Gold.
It's all, and there's been many iterations of it. Even just in WCW, there were different versions of it. And then once it became the World Heavyweight Championship in WWE, I mean, there's 30 or 40. There's a lot of different versions of it.
But the fan ones that they get.
The actual,
is my least favorite.
Yeah.
It's just so like it's because it just means so. It's like I don't need a bunch of assholes walking around with a fake Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
You know,
and we might get into this a little bit later when we're talking about if we're talking about modern day stuff. So anyway, the match is hot from the start.
Well, let's start with the intro. So Barry Windham comes to the ring first, and he comes out to "Let It Go" by Def Leppard.
That's right.
So that's not a huge hit for Def Leppard.
No, it's I think it's like track 1 on High and Dry, which is the album before Pyromania, and there. I mean, I think we're gonna go down this. They're working with Mutt Lange. It's a killer record if you like early Def Leppard. You know what I'm talking about. But yeah, you don't think of that as being necessarily wrestling theme song, but it really works. It really works.
So we get Barry Windham first, and then we get an interview with Buddy Colt.
This is rough.
Wow, Buddy Colt did not have his interview shoes on. Basically just said, hey, Ric Flair, you're great. I've never wrestled. I'd like to wrestle you. And he was like, yeah, that's not happening, kid.
Yeah.
and by kid, I mean old man.
And if you know anything about Ric Flair, you know, he had the babyface Ric Flair and promo, and he had the heel Ric Flair, you know, braggadocious promo, which everybody knows. This was sort of the babyface Ric Flair, just the world champion. I'm here to defend, and just I'm the best thing, you know.
Well, I think the whole gimmick with this was they wanted to make this a sports thing, and it was the presentation of this large, like at that time. That is the greatest belt in all of professional wrestling. No contest.
For sure.
Like Vince isn't beating it. No one's AWA. No one's beating this belt.
It's the recognized world champion.
So they're like Flair. Like we need the good guy. Like it is
the world champion promo.
It was almost Nick Bockwinkel-esque.
Sure. Class. Well, everybody's got to say class.
Yeah.
It was that was an Eddie Graham thing. I mean, Eddie, you know, that's what when the phrase sports-based presentation gets tossed around a fair deal in modern wrestling fandom. That's what I think about sports-based presentation, is treating it like it's a sport. And that was a big Eddie Graham thing. And so it makes sense, if you're coming to his territory, that's how you're going to present that's how the product is presented to that audience.
Yeah. So, not to be outdone by Def Leppard, Ric Flair comes to the ring to Easy Lover.
He's an easy lover.
Phil Collins.
I don't want to get copyright struck. Yeah, Phil Collins and Philip Bailey.
Yeah.
That was a duet, big hit single. And Flair, no 2001,
No,
not even The Wanderer, which was a theme song that he used in Crockett sometimes. Easy Lover.
Easy Lover. Who would if you had held a gun to my head and said, has Ric Flair ever come out to Easy Lover by Phil Collins? I'm just like, okay, well, this is someone that's never watched professional wrestling.
Yeah.
So
is that a rib from the guys in the production truck, you think? Hey, let's just slide this in on Flair?
Oh, I guarantee. No. So I was, for those of you that don't know, I was Roddy Piper's personal assistant for a little over a year. And no, they just get in their heads like they'll hear. They're just like, "Oh, brother, this is
yeah.
Oh man, I'm gonna get to the arena. And I'm gonna. Oh man,
this is like, I mean, not the super early days of theme music for wrestlers, but
still early.
Yeah, still early, and not everybody had it. It was like sort of your main event guys would get the music,
Yeah. So, all right. So, the match begins, and we hear our commentators are
Gordon
the
Soley,
great Gordon Soley,
and Mike Graham.
Then Mike Graham, who every time I met was always miserable.
Wow. I mean, not a lot to be happy about in that Graham household. And I've never met him, but definitely has his grievances and is not afraid to air them.
Yeah, I used to see him after Nitros at the hotel. He was always at the hotel bar, and I always saw him. He was never happy.
Yeah.
So, but he's talking, and they're explaining that Barry is he's got a shot at greatness. This match could change the decimal point on his future. He could become a millionaire in weeks after winning big gold. Who's to say? And also at the same time, Kendall Windham, the Florida heavyweight champion, is climbing that ladder, brother.
Climbing the ranks. Indeed.
So get ready. And Barry begins, and I can't remember. One of our commentators explains, "Grab a hold, brother." I was like, well, I think they're going to be doing.
There's a lot of hold grabbing.
Yes. So Barry with a flesh-colored mustache, looking like Spencer Pratt from the Hills.
It's wild, yeah. So the first couple of times you're watching this match, you're like, wait, does he have a mustache? And it's weird because you kind of can't. He's colored it.
Yeah.
But still, even with it colored, every once in a while you get that close up, and with the mustache, it's like the resemblance to Blackjack is crazy. Just adding that little bit of peach fuzz mustache. But yeah, Barry's rocking the stash, a la Blackjack Mulligan Jr. But he's firmly Barry Windham, and he's still pretty lanky at this stage.
Yeah.
He hasn't totally filled out.
He hasn't filled out.
Yeah.
So Flair with the green and brown robe. Not a fan of that. That's one of my least favorite Flair robes.
I'll agree.
Our referee, Bill Alfonso.
Fonzie.
Who would later become manager of champions. I do have a Bill Alfonso hat, shirt, and whistle that he sent me at one time. I have never used the whistle.
Package. Yeah.
But he has new teeth. Have you seen his new teeth?
I haven't seen Fonzie's new teeth.
Oh, they're beautiful.
Okay.
They were not for a while.
Good for
Holy
Fonzie.
moly, he had meth mouth. I don't know what caused it, but so match begins. House of Fire, brother. Mike Graham explains, you never know what Flair is going to do, and I'm like, wow, Mike Graham has never seen a Flair match because I can tell you exactly what Flair is going to do. So could Bret Hart.
Yeah.
So he wrote an entire chapter about that. Barry working left arm early. Steel cables are poorly wrapped in Florida.
Yeah, well, just like, and this goes to one of the fun things to look for me when you're watching like different territories wrestling is like ring construction.
Yeah.
And I think we were spoiled in the Crockett territory.
I think they worked so much and they had so much influence over the promoter that they had because we heard the horror stories about the Vince rings.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
And I think others may not have just known, but I think that communication between Jim Crockett and Dusty and Flair and Jade, they're just like, it can be easier.
Yeah. The Crockett rings had a lot of give, springy ropes, loud mat, and canvas, but also like, springy canvas, so there's a lot, but they felt, even though there was a lot of motion that, they felt solid. They weren't going anywhere. Whereas this Florida ring is a little bit closer, I want to say, to like a world-class ring because like there's no give.
And that top rope, Flair hits that first top rope and like goes to the corner.
Oh yeah,
it's just
like, hey guys.
And Barry has a slash on the back of his arm, and Mike Ray goes, so those are still cabled, covered by rope. Sometimes we don't cover the rope that good, and just scrapes your arm and brings blood. I'm just like, all right, well, maybe you should work harder to make your ropes better.
Yeah, that was so that's that ring and the white, just a pure white canvas that was slightly bloodstained and and probably didn't smell all that great, I imagine.
So it's great. At one point, Barry is outside the ring, and Gordon's talking to Gordon's talking to Mike Graham, and he goes, "Brother, he's crawling his way back up there." And I'm just like, Gordon got a little comfortable tonight. he's giving brother speed. So there you go. Blade job outside the ring by Barry. Flair misses the knee drop, and Gordon says, "Turnabout is fair play." To which I say, "Excuse me." I'm sorry.
Where's your nickel?
Yes, thank you. Then figure four by Barry. Barry with the juice flowing into the figure four.
Okay, well, let's talk about this. Yeah. Let's talk about this. Obviously, the figure four is Ric Flair's trademark move,
but never finisher.
Never finisher. Yes. But
I like that you tagged it trademark move.
Oh, it's his trademark move. Yeah. But have you ever? Can you remember any Ric Flair championship defense or any Ric Flair match at all where
small package
somebody did not put him in the figure four?
Oh yeah.
Whether that was a move in his opponent's arsenal or not, it's just like
he's wrestling a jobber. He's putting him in the figure four, but even then, he's probably not winning with it. Like,
well, no, I'm sure he beat George South plenty of times with the figure four. But you're not gonna see George South put Ric Flair in a figure four. But you're gonna see
Sam Houston on up.
Barry Windham is going to put him in a figure four.
Sam Houston's going to put him in a figure
Dusty
four.
You think
Kendall Windham's putting him in a figure four.
Now what?
As a favor to his daddy.
But let's talk. But let's talk about that. So with psychologically speaking, like is that something that like Flair and his opponents? You think? Well, obviously they didn't work out a lot of things, but I think it's interesting and worthy of discussion that that's always a feature in his defenses is the opponent putting him in his move and like, haha.
Well, because you got to think about like growing up as a kid, we all put each other in the figure four. I mean, we literally hear in this match later, Gordon, Barry puts on.
Don't do this. Do not try this at home.
Do not put your brother or sister in a sleeper hole.
Yeah.
You will kill them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, Gordon Soley, even rough night with the prostitute the night before.
Oh,
wow! Shots. No, I'm kidding. Gordon was a family man. That was just.
he enjoyed a beverage.
He enjoyed a beverage or two. So we get a nice Paul Orndorff style pile driver by Ric Flair.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that pile driver. I don't like the tombstone.
Right. Yeah. Well, I don't think. I mean, the only person that was doing the sort of, and it wasn't even called a tombstone then until
the inverted pile driver.
and it was Morocco. Yeah, that was his finisher.
I never liked that one.
Yeah.
I always liked the Orndorff style pile driver. So backslides and backdrops, Flair staple.
Now I I think backslides and Flair matches are always interesting to see because that's how he lost the belt to Kerry Von Erich in '84.
And so the crazy thing is, whenever he does a backslide, he initiates it, but he initiates it for you to have it.
and then if
he gives you the under,
and then if they can do the double bridge, that's even better. But that was always a move that I feel like it's almost like an Easter egg, although that wasn't even a concept back then. But it's just like, when you see Ric Flair, you see him, going down to the backside. It's like, oh no, this is how he got beat. This is how Kerry beat him. So maybe this is, I'm always that stuff always kind of gets me. I like that.
we get a reverse atomic drop. Someone steal the atomic drop, you dumb fucks. I mean, honestly,
bring it back.
It's there. Who doesn't love an atomic drop? It's a good pop. So make it your finisher. Who cares? Don't make it your finisher, but a good setup for your finisher.
Yeah.
All right. Flair at the figure 4, grab the ropes for heat. That's the best. Reverse always. Flair the top rope.
Which is, I'm glad you brought that up because there's not a lot of blatant Flair rule bending or rule breaking in this match.
But always grab those ropes.
Grab those ropes, yeah.
But you work towards it, like Flair's, and we hear with the commentary from Gordon Soley, Flair is tired, Flair is frustrated, and this match is going on too long.
Willing to take a shortcut.
This young up and comer, he's got respect for him. He knows his daddy. He tagged with his daddy.
Yeah,
feuded with his daddy. But
tried to run a territory with his daddy.
Yeah, well,
that did not work out too good.
Flair business-wise is a different podcast. So yeah, Flair the top rope. We all love the spot. Miss Lariat, flying body press by Flair, both over the top. That is a great spot. That for that time is pretty big to go over the top to the floor. Both men spilling like that.
Yeah.
With literally zero gravitas of what you can do with your body on the way down.
And that was that before or after the ref bump? Because there's the ref bump, and then there's Wyndham with the missile drop kick, and the attempted pin. They get the referee back up. And
no, this is after.
Yeah, because before, because Flair, that was the other heel kind of thing, because Flair throws him over the top rope.
The drop kick is or before. Okay, so sorry.
Yeah.
Drop kick on the top, ref bump, sleeper by Barry, leg on the rope throughout the match, leg on the rope. Flair was the master of not kicking out leg on the rope.
That's called ring awareness. Fair play.
Okay. So yeah, that was previous, and then the Miss Lariat flying body press by Flair.
Yeah.
Outside the ring, they're both fighting out. Flair's trying to get back in. The obligatory show the ass by Flair.
Only on one side of the arena.
Yes.
That night.
And double count out, 10 count, almost 50 minutes, and people throw trash in the ring.
And I did not hear Alfonso was not very vocal with the count, I feel like, because I was just kind of, we're watching because this thing is broken down into a melee at this point, and but both men are so physically worn out there's hardly any fight left in them, and they're just kind of wallowing on each other at ringside, and then it's like, okay, count out. You didn't even really hear the count, but yeah, the crowd's not into it. But that's the finish you're going to get in 1986.
Oh yeah,
in Florida.
Traveling territory title defense, brother.
Yeah.
You're not a Von Erich.
Hell of a classic match, and we had a lot of fun with it. And this we'll get another classic match in next week. And by all means, if you have something you'd like us to watch here on Wrestling After Show, by all means, a classic match that is easily accessible either by the Peacock or right there on YouTube, we'll be glad to check it out. Yeah. What happened to your buddy?
He might come back. Who's to say?
He might come back. Who's to say?
Here we go. Sean
there
Plichta,
he is.
Are you joining us? Let's see if we can add the legendary Sean Plichta.
Legendary? I don't know about all that.
Wow, he's here. Sean Plichta. Oh my God. Two-timing both Jason Powell at ProWrestling.net, the Pro Wrestling Boom podcast, and Wade Keller, PW Torch. Sean Plichta, you were just whoring yourself around. What are you doing, brother?
Oh man, I'm just trying to get into as much trouble as possible. No, I'm not. I'm really not. I wouldn't do such a thing. No, I'm sorry. My camera is being stupid. Who knows what's going on? You know how video technology is. It can be a pain in the
Well,
boodle.
when I say I got 11 inches, I have problems with my camera too. So I completely understand.
But no, it's fun to be on with you guys for a few minutes, and yeah, I'm just excited. I wish I was going to say I put on the chat, but Barry was so underrated. I need to go back and watch a lot more of his matches, especially from the '80s, from that time period.
Oh yeah, do not bother in the '90s. Like there is nothing to see here, folks.
Sean, I tell you, in addition to the Wyndham Flair matches, and I've seen a couple of these pop up recently. You sent me one of them, but when Barry goes to Crockett, and so this is early '87. Okay. Just to sort of like get to know him in the territory, get the territory like aware. He had a not a run, but he had a few matches with Arn Anderson, and those are it's a lot of fun, as you can imagine with both of those guys.
I sent him one like we think it's potentially
Charlotte. I think is what we figured out.
Charlotte. It was just a house show, right?
Yeah, Charlotte house show.
And there was a camera there. Literally, from the second he walked out there, it was the loudest screaming you've ever heard in your entire life, and did not stop for 9 minutes.
And it was probably like third match on the card.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like
insane.
What is that? I mean, like they were just like, this is the new guy. We're all in. We're gonna let them know that we are here for it. And it's just and because like Arn gets like 2 moves of offense, and they're just like, "Boo, go kill yourself."
Well,
like, whoa.
he was the new Magnum.
Yeah,
he was the new Magnum.
Okay. Yeah,
you know
that's what Dusty wanted.
Yeah, he was the new Magnum. Sean, let's transition into talking about some modern wrestling, I guess. And we've got I know you're a man of many opinions on the current product. What's floating your boat nowadays?
Man, well, so of course, Johnny's heard me talk about this. I watch WWE and AEW both. I mean, I enjoy them both. I want them both to do well. I've said this many times. AEW is on a better track. Last night's show was definitely. There's a lot to talk about from that show last night. There's a lot to talk about. It was an interesting show. It was a good show. They put a lot on there.
The first hour was great. The second hour
was not good.
Was not, and it was so frustrating because like they did the build to Blood and Guts, and for those of you that are not members on ProWrestling.net, like I listen to Jason Powell's cover it. He comes there and it's just like they just did the same old. Hey, let's get everyone is going to be in blood again. Like, let's reinvent the wheel, folks. I mean, like these are the young. I mean, you got how old is Triple H right now?
Younger than me. No, he's older than me. He's got to be older than me.
Yeah,
how old is
early 50s? Early 50s, I guess.
Okay,
probably.
We're the same age.
Well, I mean,
anyway,
you got this guy Triple H that's. That I see reinventing the wheel, especially from what the 70-year-old Vince McMahon was doing, and I'm just like, oh wow, this is new and fresh. And you have the young bucks who were, and it's just like, God, like, just look into your lives and look into what you like, and look into the things that you think about, and reinvent this shit, because like we literally saw that same old. Here's Okada and Swerve in the match that we're not going to get a finish for.
Yes.
Here's the other guys come out. Here's the other guy comes out. Oh, who's going to be? Is it going to be Dark? Oh, and I will say, the highlight of all that was Darby dropping from the ceiling, because I feel that he did earn the right to do that from Sting.
Yeah, that was okay.
Okay,
fine. That was fine.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But of course they dropped him, and he went. He was literally backwards the entire time, and then as soon as he landed, like Mark Briscoe, like quickly spun him around. I'm like, oh, like.
But Johnny, the blood and guts match has no stakes. Like, who wins? What does it matter who wins? Like, what is it? Team AEW? Like, what is it? I mean, what is it?
AEW is the Young Bucks. They're EVPs.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I don't get it. I just don't understand.
It's the Elite versus AEW.
I'm gonna fans, you may have noticed I kind of clammed up as soon as we start talking about AEW. To me, and Sean, I do echo your opinion. I want AEW to do well. It's just not a product that I can enjoy. I liken it to, it's like.
Well, we're going to a show.
It's like trying to have an in-depth conversation about karaoke. It's a thing that happens that is representative of a thing that's a real thing. Musical performance, karaoke is representative of that, but it is not that. Yeah. In my eyes, that's what AEW is. It's representative of pro wrestling. But for me, and what I enjoy about pro wrestling, there's not enough of it to really warrant any kind of in-depth conversation or analysis. That's me though. But I understand a lot of people do like it. And I used to be one of those people. I used to watch AEW and I used to love hearing the pros and cons of AEW. And now it's just like, it's just all sort of background noise for me. And I can't do it. So, but you guys go ahead.
But for the sake of the podcast, we're actually going to go to a live show.
Is that what has been decided?
I think so. I mean, for the sake of the podcast.
I don't know that it has, but for the sake of the podcast and growth and the channel and everything, maybe that is something that should happen. Okay, but I'm always gonna be that guy that's kind of like, you know.
If we were saying the same things, then only one of us needed to be here.
Exactly. Right. That's why there's two of us.
Okay, so WWE, for example, like on Raw Monday night. Okay, so it's kind of the same thing. That's the one thing Triple H is doing that I'm not liking is you have Sami Zayn and Ilya Dragunov, and you build this matchup the whole show, right? We're going to have this Intercontinental title match. You know they're not giving you a finish to that match. You know that Braun Breaker's interfering. And that I don't like. That's the one thing about his booking I don't like. I know why he did it, but it just doesn't – I want a match. Give me a match if you're going to have one, you know? And
I could have lived with just a Sammy win and then Braun coming out afterwards.
That's my thing. That's my thing. If you're going to have somebody after the match. You know, you don't have to do it during every match.
I think that's one of those old school Heat. I think you went to the Kevin Sullivan playbook of Heat.
Sure.
And the Heat is not only beating up Sami Zayn or Dragunov after the match, but not giving you the finish of the match. And I think the way they've told the story with Braun Breaker thus far, they've done a good job. Where I think the Heat is going on Braun.
It is.
So and some of the heat is positive, and some of the heat, you know, it's like you know, like if you like Braun Breaker, you're just like, yeah, like put him like he should have won that match. I want to see him again against you know, or if you don't like him, it's just like, man, this guy sucks. He needs to get his. So.
I don't disagree with Sean. For certain matches, I think it is very helpful to have a conclusive finish on television. But in matches with higher stakes, I'm okay with the inconclusive finish because I know it's leading to you know, a payoff at the PLE. You know, I liken it to, you know, a cliffhanger. You know, in episodic television. You know, or in serialized television. Actually, you know, it's just making you, now what? And that's and to me. That's the feeling I love about. I love the ultimate satisfaction, but I'm really good with just having what's going to happen next, like that kind of vibe, and it's funny. I'm really glad you brought this up because this is one of the things I've really been enjoying on Raw lately, from both an in-ring perspective and a storyline perspective. Is the Sammy Ilya Braun Breaker thing, and it's for me it's kind of counterintuitive because it's going to build to a three-way, which I don't
think so. There's too many three-ways.
Well, there are a lot of three-ways, but but
for me, never too many.
But the way they've been booking the three-ways lately, like the match itself, like when you get to that PLE and you have that triple threat match, there's a lot less of one guy completely laying out for a while two guys run spots and then switch. You know, they're doing a better job in those actual triple threat matches of making everybody consequential the whole time. That's the reason I'm not super offended that this is another 3-way feud.
Okay.
That, that's what it's going towards.
All right, so all right, Sean, where's your vote? We'll all vote here. All right, so there's at least 2 potential 3-ways that we're looking at here with
on Raw.
On Raw,
Raw.
We're looking at Dragunov, Braun Breaker, and Sammy, and that could just culminate in a Dragunov and Breaker in a eliminator match, and then we get Breaker versus Sammy rematch at SummerSlam, or we get the 3-way. Also, we're potentially looking at Rollins, Punk, and McIntyre, or we're looking at McIntyre and Punk with Seth as the special guest referee, or we're looking at Punk isn't cleared.
That is true. He is not cleared as of this moment, as of the time we're recording this.
Yeah, that's possible.
He is not officially cleared.
So which of these matches, Sean, what's your vote? Are both of these 3-ways, or one of these 3-ways, or none of these 3-ways?
Okay. If I had to vote, which I mean, if I had to vote, I would say neither one.
Well, no. You have to bet. You have $100 right now, Sean.
I would say
I have guys that will break your fingers. So
okay. I don't want to get my fingers broke, so I'm in. I'll go. I say if they're going to do one of the triple threats, it would be Sammy, Braun, and Dragunov. Yeah, you can't have Seth in a 3-way with Drew and Punk. It's Drew and Punk, man. It's Drew and Punk. They have a storyline built with them. Seth just feels kind of randomly there. I mean, he's there, but he's not there. It doesn't. He's not a part of it, really. I mean, they tried to make him a part of it last Monday night, but you can't do that. I've had
that discussion many times at 1 a.m. And trust me, brother, you want to make them feel a part of this. You want to make them feel a part of it. And you got one of them. You got another person saying they're not going to be a part of this.
Yeah, I agree with Sean. I feel like if it goes to a triple threat match for the Intercontinental title at SummerSlam with Ilya, Braun, and Sammy, that's going to be a hell of a match. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And Braun can win. And Sammy's clean.
Braun can win. Yeah. Ilya can take the pin, and then, what have you. But I agree with Sean at Drew and Punk is the story, and that is the match that I think everybody wants. It's the match I want to see.
If he's good, if he's healthy.
Yeah, and Punk and Rollins, that's another whole set of issues.
Yes, build that for Mania. Build Punk.
Yeah, that's another whole. That's
a guest referee.
And I don't think he's going to be. I don't want to see that either. I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in that. If he wants to do a run in or something. Now, as far as like having Rollins involved with Punk right now, it's good as
a teaser,
because we don't want to see Drew and Punk on TV in the ring every week. It's like you have to let them like kind of come together and then keep them apart. Kind of come together and keep them apart.
Yeah, one's out here this week, one's out here next.
So having Seth in the mix gives both of them somebody to bounce off of without having to bounce off each other. I think that's his function.
I love Punk. It's no secret. We were actually talking before we went on the air. I done Judge Steve Harvey, and I helped facilitate the Judge Steve Harvey episode with Kevin Sullivan and JJ Dillon. And so I was hanging out with them the day before filming. And
these are the stories.
These are the stories. So I'd gone out to sushi with the guy that I was suing because that's what we did. and Sullivan called and he was like, "Hey, can you bring me some sushi, brother?" And we go back to the hotel and Sullivan's in his underwear and I'm just like, this is fucking nuts. And so I'm hanging out with Kevin Sullivan in his underwear eating sushi, and this is when Punk was I think it just come back. I think he'd just done that monster rating for
Rampage.
And Sullivan's like, "What do you think of Punk, kid?" And I was like, "I love him." And he goes, "He looks like a fucking melted candle. I hate him."
Well, that candle has reconstituted itself.
That candle's pretty big right now.
That guy is yoked
he's
man.
Right now. So, but being a Punk fan and being when Drew left WWE, like he did the circuit, I managed Drew McIntyre on the independent circuit. Like he literally came to the ring in I'm a Jonny Fairplay guy T-shirt. So I love
cool.
Drew McIntyre. Seth Rollins, like when he was initially leaving Ring of Honor, I remember being at whatever the big thing in LA with LA was the WrestleMania thing, and we were talking. I was hey, I've talked to TNA and their WrestleCon, I believe, and I was just like, would you? And I pitched him an idea of him doing like a vampire deal with him and James Mitchell and a hot girl and doing like the True Blood deal, and where Seth Rollins was the oldest of the group because vampires, you stop aging once you're bit.
Okay.
And so he was just like, wow, he liked that, and whatever, and he eventually made his way to Florida Championship Wrestling because instead of TNA, and so I've known all these guys for so long, and I love them. I mean, I think the three of them are just experts at their craft, and
I would agree with that.
I'm okay with the first matchup that we've been waiting for between Punk and Drew McIntyre to be fucked over by Seth Rollins. I'm okay with that.
Fucked over, yeah, but I think I like actually having him as a part of the match and like a special referee capacity. I don't want to see that. Because that just casts a shadow over the entire affair.
Well, but I would rather, honestly, I'd rather have him out there from the beginning than just waiting for the run-in.
Okay, I can see that.
Playing devil's advocate here.
There it is.
Yeah, because they've just gone to so many triple threats lately for some of these big feuds that are really just one-on-one feuds that need to be built on one-on-one feuds. Good against bad, just build it up, and they've done it, and then adding Seth to it just takes away from it, even though Seth, he's got beef with both of them, but it's not worth him being in the match for SummerSlam, a big event like that. Just build up the second.
Drew needs a win right now, and I think it looks pretty good on Punk for taking a loss.
That's another whole conversation you can have is like who wins in that.
Yeah. I've been asking the same thing. I don't know who's going to win, and that's what I like about it. I don't know who's going to win.
Well, that's why I do like Seth as a special guest ref. So, because his heat right now is with Punk and not with Drew. So Punk can eat that loss. It's not going to hurt Punk. Drew needs that win because give who's the hottest of the three of those? I mean, we're talking three of the hottest superstars in the history of professional wrestling. I mean,
Drew.
not
Drew.
ever, but
he says Drew.
I think Drew. What do you?
Man. It's like
1A.
It's like they're hot in different ways. Like Punk has like sort of the legacy, heat, which I think people are still like super thrilled that he's on their TV.
We're still in the honeymoon.
Yeah. But Drew's just so good Drew's just so good in his role right now. He's just figured it out to a T. I mean, he's just got it down.
Yeah, we were talking before we went on the air, like the fact that they have done such a good job writing wise for a heel, giving the mantra, why, I likened it earlier to Thanos. Like Thanos isn't killing half of the universe because he wants to kill half the universe. He wants to kill half the universe because like people are in poverty. There's overpopulation. There's hunger. If he kills half the population, then they eat and they thrive and there's more opportunity. Like he's not doing it in his mind. He's not doing it because and we're getting these like such good for everything Drew McIntyre is like. Money in the Bank is a flawed concept. They didn't earn that, they didn't earn that opportunity, that moment. Whereas, I've been destroying myself for this opportunity, and it should be uninterrupted.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
it's go ahead, Scott. Sean,
Drew,
sorry.
I know what that's like to call people wrong names. Don't feel bad. I do that all the time.
Oh,
So,
my name's Heath. I've answered to Keith plenty of times in my
oh my
life.
gosh,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Well, with Drew, I like that he's still kick ass, but you don't want to root for him though because he's so whiny about it. But it's a fun whiny. Like he whines, but you just still love it, and he does make good points. But you're like, I can't root for it because he whines like a baby. But he does it in such a compelling way that it's just like it's awesome. Like it's just
It's
there's so many good
justified.
points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's my thing with Drew is it's like, if you look at all his arguments, it's like, well, he's not wrong,
Yeah.
and yeah, Sean, he is whiny, and I think that's where the heel, the classic, like, well, the heel has to have a gripe, and so the heel has to have a grievance, that's sort of his out, he was cheated.
Right. Yeah.
If everything had gone his way, he'd be saying, things would be a lot different right now. But in his case, yeah, I mean, he has been screwed over by CM Punk a number of times now. So like, he's not wrong, but yeah, like you said, it's like, but you're such a dick about it. I can't get behind you. And then Rollins is just that. Yeah, as much as Punk is the man of the people, Rollins with just that entrance and everybody singing, because everybody loves to sing nowadays, that's like gravitas in itself. And that's why I kind of, for me, in the outcome of the Drew Punk scenario, I'm fine with Punk losing that clean, even just cut that off, because I really want to get to Punk and Rollins, just because you have two massively over. This is going to be a case where two baby faces. It's going to be great, because it's like,
Who turns heel?
but like, everybody is so
Punk's turning
invested in
heel.
both
He
of
has to
them.
turn heel. Rollins can't be. We've seen Rollins as a heel, and he's good at it. He was a good heel at the start when with the Authority, even though the Authority part was stupid. But he was good as a heel at what
The
he was
Authority
doing.
part sucked, but
Yeah.
He was a good heel,
at
but
whining.
Punk's just as good as Punk is a face. He's done a good job as a face, and I do like I like him, but he's so much better as a heel. I mean, he's so much better in that role. I think that would be it makes sense. And Rollins, the song, you can't really do it. I mean, you can do a heel with that song, but you just don't really want to. I mean, fans want to cheer him and let them cheer him.
I want Punk as a heel.
Punk heel turn is fine with me.
Yeah.
I'll still be into it.
I want everyone to buy a. Sorry, they're coming for me.
What did you do now, Johnny? Come on.
I put up these new blinds so they couldn't see that you were here. They must have thought you weren't at home.
Thank you. No, I like to pee on things.
He likes to pee on schools.
Yes.
Weird. All right, last quick thing.
I peed on a school.
School for the deaf. No, they didn't hear me. But
last quick thing, because I'll have to get off after this, and I appreciate you having me on, Johnny. Thank you.
So are we.
Yeah, we got to go.
Yeah.
But the Liv Dom Rhea stuff's been just fantastic. Just
all right.
Liv is so good as a heel. The Dom stuff is still intriguing. I think they're going, when Liv faces Rhea at SummerSlam, I'm still thinking that Dom goes with Liv and Liv beats Rhea and they chase, Rhea's on the chase for a while, because the fans want to get behind her and chasing the title again. And it just builds into Liv and Dom and the feelings with them and whatever they're going to do with them. I really like what they're doing. I just think all around it's been a lot of fun. The segment Monday was really good. Rhea saying, you're mine, I'm not yours, you're mine. That was cool.
That was good.
Yeah, everything about that was just fun. And but I think Rhea can't win the title at SummerSlam, because then there's nowhere for her to go afterwards. I mean, you got to keep this story going for a long time.
Well, I want to throw something in, and Heath, I want your follow on this.
Right.
We're watching this Dominic mommy thing, and it harkens back to the Eddie Guerrero China thing, which I remember vividly, and being a good friend of China at the end, and knowing Eddie. There's an if you got if you're paying attention, there's an innocence to Dominic that they're throwing out there. Like Liv is literally throwing out sex as an offer, and you have Dominic going, are there nuggies and tendies?
He's more into the nuggies and tendies.
He's more than nuggies and tendies.
Yeah.
She brought PlayStation 5 and 2K to the table, and and he was just like, yeah,
that's cool, but like the sex stuff, not so much for him.
Like there's an innocence, whereas Eddie was always sleazy. I mean, real life. I mean, like he just got this vibe from Eddie. And he embraced it. It wasn't like what is that? How you think? Like no, Eddie was just like, hey. I remember having it was just like, hey, so what can I do to her? I was like, whoa, Eddie, that's my girlfriend. Like, hopefully nothing.
So what? Yeah, I had. There's been something about Dom's character that has not jived with me this whole time, and I think you might have just touched on it because we like to think of he's Dirty Dom. He's kind of a scumbag. He's
Dirty Dom, and he's Eddie Guerrero. The hair, the mustache, and all that. But he's not.
He's kind of a scumbag, but he kind of has really. With and Damien's got a point too, because Damien's like, you could have put an end to this so many times and you haven't. But he actually hasn't encouraged it either.
No,
he's sort of
right.
He's that's what's good about it.
Yeah. That's interesting.
He's a dumb. So yeah. As much as everyone is looking for the big betrayal, and it could happen. But and I think that him leaving the room and the scar, like I like. That hasn't been like I think that might have been a screw up in the storyline.
What was that?
Like when he left the room, and she had the bandana or whatever. Or maybe,
way back when, yeah.
Maybe she had just grabbed it from him. He's like, I'm out of here.
There definitely seemed to be planting seeds early on that there was more going on behind the scenes that we weren't seeing, but
that has shifted.
Either they abandoned that, or we were just reading too much into things.
So,
Sean, I want to get back to something you said as far as because I have fun with all the soap opera stuff, but at the end of the day, the bell's going to ring and there's going to be a wrestling match, and that's kind of where I always like to look towards. And I think what you just said right there about Rhea not winning at SummerSlam is pretty interesting. So where do you see that going if she doesn't win at SummerSlam? What
AEW Slammiversary?
Because that's a thing that happens.
That is a thing.
Who's to say?
Yeah.
No,
Go ahead,
I think. I mean, they'll just keep building up to, eventually her getting a rematch. I'm assuming it either Bad Blood or Survivor Series, one of the two.
Yeah.
I'm assuming because, you got to keep the story going. It's a good story right now. You got to keep it going. If you just end it now abruptly out of nowhere in 2 weeks, then Rhea wins the title, and then who does she? There's no opponents really for her to go against, or any, not a lot of credible opponents to go against her right now. So it's like, where do you go? Because Becky's gone, and there's just so many women in WWE that haven't been built up as well as they could. That would be a logical challenger. And Zelina Vega, sorry, you're not it. So I don't know where. Yeah, I just think Rhea has to lose to keep. Because Dom, you don't want Dom to turn face anytime soon. Like he's got to stay heel for a while. Like turning face, you want to build that face turn over a long period of time, and it's not right now.
That's interesting. I honestly had never considered. I always thought, when Rhea came back, she's going to be the face, and Dom is going to eventually, although he has been innocent, he's going to do the scumbag thing and go with Liv and even go deeper into heel territory. I had not actually given any thought to him to a face turn for Dom. I don't know if you can turn him baby face.
No, you can't.
I think they so obligatory boo him because I don't even think. I think 40% of it's heat. I think the 60 other percent of the 100% that he's getting is fan participation, and we love what you're doing so much that we're in on it.
Pavlovian at this point. It's just.
Well, I think it's part Pavlovian and part.
Yeah.
God bless you.
This is our way.
Yeah. This is the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
True. I think Dom, Sean, let me ask you, since you brought it up, and we're probably going to have to wrap up on this, but how would you go about orchestrating a Dominic Mysterio face turn? This is interesting.
Oh, well, that's a quick. Well, see that's a lot of thought.
We're going to be here all night.
I think
you got 30 seconds.
If you, I don't know, like you could just build something where eventually either Dom just goes back with Rhea somehow, and they just build the relationship with them, where something happens with them where they can either just be
friends.
She's so over as a baby face. If she gives him sort of the stamp, like, "Hey guys, I want you to quit booing Dom," then they might be on board with that. She's that over, I think, right now.
Oh yeah.
So they might be into that.
Hold on, but before we one last thing, Sean, name your favorite person you saw on NXT this week.
Is it because you're wearing the shirt, Johnny?
What are you talking about? I don't even know what you're talking about. Who's your favorite person?
Well, okay. If I'm actually saying who my favorite person was, I don't know, man. I would go...
No. There's only one answer.
No, it's not Joe, though. I don't...
I like Joe who?
Joe Hendry. I don't
say his name and he appears.
I'm with Sean.
I have got a Joe Hendry teacher. Hey, thank you, Pro Wrestling Tees. We will see you next week. Oh my God, Sean Blakely, you're the best. Holy moly, who doesn't love
Thank
a
you guys.
Joe Hendry
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. It's fun.
And if you want more of everything, you know where to check us out. Go to WrestlingAfterShow.com. And guess what? I do other stuff. I go all around the world. And where am I going to be next? Oh, here we go. I am pressing buttons.
Thrilling. Thank you, Sean.
Coming to Cary's Coca Booth Amphitheater, it's the legendary Roots crew. That's right, the Roots are coming to Cary, North Carolina, Friday, August 30th. And they're not alone. Special guest Macy Gray. This is benefiting the K-Yow Cancer Fund. So get your tickets now. That's right, go to etix.com. That's ETIX.com. Or come to the venue box office. It's Coca Booth Amphitheater in Cary, North Carolina, Friday, August 30th. The Roots. See you there. See you, everybody.
Thank you.